There is a blueprint ingrained in your subconscious mind that determines how you approach your life and how successful you are. In this video today, I'm going to share with you exactly how this works, where it comes from, and how you can change it so you can make 2025 one of your most successful years yet. This blueprint is essentially a mixture of all your beliefs, past experiences, and habits that you've accumulated throughout your life. And quite often this will come from other people's opinions, their thoughts, and the modelling that you've done of people like your parents to get you where you are today. How does this actually work though? Your brain is a phenomenal thing. It takes in all the information available to us through our 5 senses, reorganises it, and then processes it throughout your body. The interesting thing for me is how this information is actually organised in the first place, and this is based upon your past experiences and your memories. The brain stores all your memories. By the time you're 21, your brain has stored more than 100 times the entire information contained within this Encyclopedia Britannica. And the way that this brain processes feelings and memories is through the form of experience. All your past experiences come together and it's remembered by the brain, and this is what forms your identity. You're therefore making choices in the present day based upon your past experiences. And you do the same things and then you wonder why you get the same results. This a lot of the time actually comes down to your mindset. So a mindset is essentially a theory that you hold about yourself. And this could be something like, I'm not good enough, I'm clumsy, I'm never going to make it to Wimbledon to play professional tennis. That's personally one of mine. But this essentially comes from your experiences that you've had in the past. So you might be, I'm not confident because you've had an experience that your brain has remembered around you standing up and giving a really lackluster performance that might have got people to boo at you when you were at school. As I'm saying this, you might be thinking that actually your mindset isn't supporting you right now. Because what happens is we have a natural tendency to focus on the negativity in our lives. It's the negative bias. You'll know this from when you've got some feedback at work and you remember the one piece of negative feedback that comes your way. So your world becomes negative, and this is one that you're actually creating with your own thoughts. Now, do you think this is currently supporting you? I don't think so. What's happening is you've got stored memories of past failures that are coming up, and it's stopping you from moving on and living the successful life that you want. So why is this so important? You see, our brain doesn't actually sense reality. It can't feel, it can't hear. What we perceive is actually the brain's best guess as to what's going on inside in the outside world. And the world we're living in, as I've just shown, is one we're actively generating through our own subconscious mind. And it's based upon past experiences that we've remembered, usually in a negative way. So everybody's actual reality is different. This is such a phenomenal thing. You can't change your brain function, but you can have control over how you approach your life and how you control your mind. This is all about the brain's ability to change itself, and that's something through a process called neuroplasticity. Using this process of neuroplasticity, you can create new patterns, new beliefs, new positive things for yourself, because our neurons in our brains communicate with each other through the synapses, and these are the connections between them. We adjust and create these new synaptic connections all the time. Every time we experience something, this happens within our brains. These incidents and choices, they shape us. Sometimes that learning becomes really hard-coded, and you'll have heard the phrase, neurons that fire together, wire together. And it's because the more we practice something, the more it becomes a habit. And these are the well-trodden paths that you go down every single day. And this is your subconscious blueprint. This is true whether it's a positive thing or a negative thing. Neuroplasticity has shown that you can change your brain. I know it's easier said than done, so I want to show you how to do this. You can't do anything about the past, but what you can do is change how you approach your future. Firstly, you need to recognise what's holding you back from achieving what you want. You need to become self-aware. I know that when I worked in the corporate environment, I used to say all these horrible things to myself that just weren't true. Like, I'd go into a meeting and I'd think, why would anybody want to listen to what you've got to say? You don't know what you're thinking. You don't know what you're talking about. And these thoughts would go round and round and round in my head. So the first thing I want you to do is keep a track of those negative thoughts for a few weeks. Every single time that you think of something that you know is not supporting you, write it down on a piece of paper. You may think this is going to be time consuming, but sooner rather than later you'll realise that you're actually saying the same negative things to yourself. And it could be something like, oh, I'm such an idiot. Why would anyone listen to you? So is there something that actually triggers those thoughts? I know that when I've worked with clients in the past, they recognise that when they're really, really up against a schedule or a tight deadline, they definitely have more negative thoughts about themselves. So we worked to change that for them so that they're more organised, so they don't get into those situations. So once you know that you've got a problem or you'll tell yourself something, that's when you can do something about it. So I'd like for you to write those thoughts down on the left-hand side of a piece of paper, because those thoughts also become your beliefs as well. And on the right-hand side, when you're having a good day, I'd like for you to write an alternative thought that you can say to yourself instead. So say it is, your negative thought is, I'm not good enough. Your more positive thought would be, I am more than enough. And now when you have that quiet moment, think of all the different positive thoughts you could have to all your negative ones. Because once you're aware of an alternative, you can use that and say it instead. In this instance, it's really useful to know about something called cognitive diffusion. And this is when you see yourself as separate to your thoughts. Because your thoughts aren't fact. They're just what you are experiencing from your past memories, playing out again in your subconscious. So secondly, let's focus more on the positive. Here is where your own version of success comes in. I want to talk about selective attention here. So there's a concept in neuroscience that says whatever you focus on expands. So whatever you think actually grows. You'll have heard this before, but just like a plant needs water, thoughts need energy behind them. A lot of the time, we're really passive participants in our lives. Research from Harvard University suggests that we just don't imagine our future very much as humans. And what we really should be doing is filling our entire vision with the future that we want, as then we can go out and get the success that we desire. So what is that positive version of success for you? My second point, I want you to do an action board. This is just like a vision board, but it's much more action oriented. So I do believe a bit in the woo, but for me, I need a bit more action behind that to support myself. And neuroscientist Dr. Tara Swart explains that looking at images on a vision board primes the brain to grasp opportunities that are there. So it's something called your reticular activating system. It's your bouncer, shall we say, to what your brain allows into your head. And if you're looking for negative things, that's what the brain will want to support you to see. It basically looks for what you want. So if you're looking for more positive things, your brain starts seeing that side of things instead. So when you direct your brain to visualize about the good stuff, you're directing your brain to proactively work for you instead. I'm going to do a separate video on action boards because they're really, really powerful tools. But for now, just know that you're giving your brain evidence which it needs to help you change your belief. I'd love to know what one thing you're focusing on for the moment in the comments below that you want to make happen next year. So once you decide what you want and you've figured out how you're going to make this happen using an action board, you need to be able to use your growth mindset to go out there and get this. A growth mindset supports you in going out to be as successful as you can be. And this starts off with seeing setbacks and failures as part of the process and not the journey. You only have to look at some of the most successful people to know that failure was never going to be a problem for them. There's the dog. Thomas Edison got told that he was stupid at school. And Katy Perry, she had, I think it was 3 failed record attempts before she got signed by her record label. So try and tell these people that they weren't going to succeed and that failure was going to stop them, and it just wouldn't have happened. The second thing is you have to know what you can and can't control. Obviously, we're all just one big work in progress, but how we approach learning with curiosity rather than a stagnant approach is important. Carol Dweck, who's actually one of the founders of the whole growth mindset movement, says to always use the power of yet. So I say this all the time to my kids as well, but whenever I feel like I can't do something or something's too difficult, I would put the word yet on the end. So I can't do this yet. It's not working out yet. It just allows me to see that there are other ways to approach a problem, especially when I can't see a way through it. What else can we learn from this? I said earlier in life that we don't always get what we want, we get what we think we deserve. So what is this for you? What beliefs do you have about yourself at the moment that are supporting you in order to go and get the vision of the success that you want? It's about stepping out of your comfort zone and going out and getting the evidence, so taking the actions that you need to support the new version of yourself. Now you know this information, what can you do to support a change in your life? So look at the negative things you say to yourself and change them. Give yourself something more positive to say. Give yourself a plan, an action plan that really engages your brain to look for evidence about the future self that you want. And my ultimate hope is that you start practicing and doing some of this. And I'd love for you to tell me how you get on in the comments below.